Hey, card runners, just wanted to do a video on all the marked hands I've had in the last 1 or 2 months. Usually when I mark a hand, it's because it's really close, and I just wanted to double check it and make sure I'm thinking about the game right. A lot of these most of them are going to be 6 max hypers, and maybe a couple other different ones. So in this first one, I thought was an interesting spot because we only have, let's see, what is that? About 6.5 big blinds. And the cutoff is shoving. The cutoff's normal ship range was around, I think, well, let's see here, 22%. But something we have to keep in mind here is that with all the stacks being short, he definitely could increase that and try and take advantage of people's tighter calling ranges. Although I wouldn't say that anybody's going to be like abnormally tight because there's not really much of a bubble effect here. So because of that, I was trying to determine if pocket sixes were a good call here. And to do that, we need to look at ICMizer. So the thing you have to consider here, and the reason why I think it's going to be pretty close, or I know it's going to be pretty close, you can see it right here, is if we double up here, we have to think about the ICM implications of it doesn't actually help us that much because he would have a stack of about 7 and some change, and we would have a little more than 500, like 550, 560. And yeah, obviously having more chips is great, but how much does that actually help us? So we have to figure that out. And I just put a range at 50%, and it looks like I was a little bit off in that sixes are a fold here. Obviously, if we increase it to, if he's getting a little brash and he's more like, say, 64%, then it's going to be a close call. So kind of the break-even point is around like 64, 65%, depending on how much of a differential you want to use. But I think this is actually an example where like the results can help us out quite a bit, and just seeing what he had. I mean, he has H-Jack, so basically that tells us nothing. But if he showed up there with 4-5 suited, Queen 5 suited, 9-8 offsuit, etc., then that could go a long way to telling us what type of range he's on. Unfortunately, running to the top of his range doesn't help us significantly, but nevertheless, I still think it was an important hand to look at. So let's go on to the next hand. So in the second hand, this is a bubble of a 6-max. And I wanted to see, first of all, if there's any range that he can really call me with that would make shoving this minus EV. And second of all, if the hand he did call with, and he had ace-4 offsuit, was that a good call if I am shoving 100%? I had been a little rusty on ICM because I've been playing a lot of heads up lately, so just wanted to check that out. Because at the time, my intuition would say that calling there with ace-4, even if I'm shoving close to 100%, is probably only about a break-even proposition, but let's check it out. So 6-max, 65%. We have antes. Okay, so everything's correct there. So let's say he's calling all aces, because obviously if he's calling with ace-4, I'm assuming he's calling with ace-2. King 9 suited pairs, and that's like throw. I guess that's it. I mean, maybe like King 8 suited. So I'm assuming, I'm just extrapolating based on the fact he called with ace-4 offsuit that his call range is going to be about 25%. Maybe in practice he doesn't call with ace-4 every time. I don't know, but let's just say it's that. So even based on that, and I would view that calling range as like extremely high, is that we can still shove like 90%. We can see that 9-3 offsuit is a little bit in that, below that differential. You can see it's the light green here because I put a 10 chip differential here, or 10%, 0.1% differential. So that actually makes me feel good and makes me think that that was a correct play. Now, if it was 100, 200 without antes, then this probably wouldn't be a ship here based on that range. But let's put ourselves in the big blind shoes and say the big stack is shoving into us, and this is what I like to call a 2-1-1 spot. So I'm sorry, a 1-2-1 spot. So the medium stack on the button folds, and then the big stack ships into you, which is a very common occurrence. So let's say this guy goes all in, and let's say we know he's shoving 100%, which is I'm assuming with the guy that called with ace-4 was assuming I was doing. So what can we call with if they shove 100% here? Then we can see that, I mean, we have to have a pretty tight range, which is what I suspected. I mean, so with his call of ace-4 there, even if I'm shoving 100%, he's losing, say we're just playing a $100 game to make it easy, he'd be losing $1.53. I mean, that's 1.53% ROI. I mean, that's quite a bit. So, don't really like his play there. I like my play, which doesn't always happen, but it's nice when it happens once in a while.